On the evening of November 1, 2007, the ancient hilltop city of Perugia, Italy, was quiet. Its narrow medieval streets lined with stone arches and centuries-old buildings stood still under the autumn sky. Students filled the cafes earlier in the day, celebrating All Saints' Day, but by nightfall, the town had grown calm. In one small apartment on Via della Pergola, however, a crime was unfolding that would capture the attention of the world. Inside that flat, a young woman's life was ending. 21-year-old Meredith Kercher, a British exchange student, lay dead on the floor of her bedroom. She had been stabbed repeatedly, her throat cut in a brutal and merciless attack. Her room bore the marks of a struggle, overturned furniture, scattered belongings and blood. By morning, police would arrive and what should have been a straightforward homicide investigation would transform into one of the most infamous, debated, and polarizing true crime cases in modern history. This is the story of Meredith Kercher, of Amanda Knox, of Raffaele Sollecito, and of Rudy Guede. A story of cultural clashes, media hysteria, and courtroom battles that divided the United States, the United Kingdom, and Canada. A story that left a family grieving, reputations destroyed, and the world questioning whether justice had truly been served. To understand the story, well, let's talk about Meredith Kercher's life. Meredith Susanna Cara Kercher, known to friends as Mez, was born on December 28, 1985, in South London. She was the youngest daughter of John and Arline Kercher, and the sister of John Jr. Lyle and Stephanie. Meredith grew up in Coulston, Surrey, a peaceful suburb outside London. She was bright, witty, and grounded. Friends described her as warm and approachable, someone who could make you laugh but also someone deeply loyal. She excelled in her studies, attended the University of Leeds, and pursued European politics and languages. Meredith loved writing. She kept journals filled with her reflections, dreams, and observations about the world. She wanted to work in international relations or journalism, a career that combined her intelligence with her creativity. In 2007, she took a leap many young people dream of. Through a study abroad program, she traveled to Italy, enrolling at the University of Perugia to improve her Italian and broaden her horizons. Perugia was a picturesque city, known for its medieval architecture and lively student scene. It was the perfect backdrop for a young woman's European adventure. Meredith quickly adapted, making new friends and exploring Italian culture. She moved into a cottage-style apartment at Via della Pergola with 3 other women, 2 Italian law students and an American named Amanda Knox. The flat had a charm to it, perched on a hillside, though it was not far from the seedier parts of town. Meredith was thriving. She was becoming fluent in Italian, enjoying nights out with friends and keeping in touch with her family back in England. But just 2 months into her stay, her life would come to a tragic end. Then who is Amanda Knox and Raffaele Sollecito? Amanda Marie Knox was born July 9, 1987, in Seattle, Washington. At just 20 years old, she was full of ambition but also a certain youthful naivety. She was studying linguistics at the University of Washington and had saved up money to spend a year abroad in Italy. Amanda was free-spirited, playful, and sometimes careless. Her personality contrasted sharply with Meredith's quieter, more composed demeanor. While Meredith valued neatness and responsibility, Amanda was often described as messy, unpredictable, and at times immature. Shortly after arriving in Perugia, Amanda met Raffaele Sollecito, a 3-year-old computer science student from Bari in southern Italy. Raffaele came from a respected family, his father a doctor, his sister a police officer. He was quiet, intelligent, and somewhat introverted. The connection between Amanda and Raffaele was immediate and intense. Within days, they were inseparable. Amanda began spending most nights at his apartment rather than at Via della Pergola. The dynamic inside the shared house changed. Meredith sometimes felt uneasy about Amanda's behavior or lack of cleanliness, her openness about her sex life, her sometimes bizarre antics. Still, the 2 women remained civil. No one could have foreseen how those small cultural and personal differences would later be magnified under the lens of international scrutiny. Then comes the night of the murder, November 1, 2007. Was a holiday in Italy. Many students had left town to visit family or travel. That evening, Meredith had dinner with friends, then returned to her apartment around 9 p.m. Amanda, meanwhile, was with Raffaele. The couple later claimed they spent the night at his apartment, cooking dinner, smoking cannabis, and watching the movie Emily. Sometime between 9 p.m. and midnight, the attack on Meredith occurred. Her bedroom showed signs of forced entry, or at least, it appeared to. Her belongings were scattered, and a window was broken. But police would later question whether this was staged. Meredith was assaulted and stabbed multiple times. She fought back fiercely, leaving defensive wounds on her hands. Ultimately, her throat was cut, and she bled to death. The following morning, Amanda returned to the flat. She noticed something unusual. The front door was ajar. Inside, she found droplets of blood in the bathroom sink and on the bath mat. Strangely, she showered and dried her hair before becoming alarmed. Meredith's bedroom door was locked, a rarity. Amanda and Raffaele attempted to call Meredith, but there was no response. They contacted the police. When officers arrived, they forced open Meredith's door. Inside, they found a horrific sight. Meredith's body beneath a duvet, her throat slit, the floor stained with blood. The crime scene was gruesome. The investigation that followed would become even messier. Then comes the investigation. From the very beginning, the investigation was plagued with errors. Police sealed off the apartment, but not before officers, roommates, and even journalists had trampled through the scene. Key evidence would later be contaminated. Attention quickly turned to Amanda Knox. Investigators noted her behavior at the scene. She was seen kissing Raffaele outside, at times appearing calm, even playful. Some officers thought she lacked the appropriate grief or shock. Cultural misunderstandings amplified suspicions. In Italy, Amanda's relaxed, casual demeanor was interpreted as cold and suspicious. In the UK, where Meredith's family mourned, tabloids painted Amanda as strange and untrustworthy. In the US, she would later be seen as a naive young woman caught in a foreign system. Within days, Amanda and Raffaele were questioned intensely. Their stories wavered under pressure. Amanda even signed a statement suggesting she had been present during Meredith's murder, though she later retracted it, saying she was coerced and confused. Another name soon entered the picture: Rudy Guede, a 20-year-old from the Ivory Coast. He was known in Perugia for petty crimes and drug use. His DNA was found inside Meredith's room, in her purse, her clothing, and her body. Despite this evidence, police believed more than one person was involved, and Amanda and Raffaele remained their prime suspects. By early November, the three, Amanda, Raffaele, and Rudy, were arrested for the murder of Meredith Kercher. The trials begin. In 2008, Rudy Guede opted for a fast-track trial and was convicted of Meredith's murder. He was sentenced to 30 years, later reduced to 16, but the spotlight remained fixed on Amanda Knox and Raffaele Sollecito. Their joint trial began in 2009. Italian prosecutors painted Amanda as manipulative, jealous, and dangerous. They argued that Meredith had disapproved of Amanda's lifestyle and that tensions escalated into violence. According to their theory, Amanda, Raffaele, and Rudy killed Meredith together during a drug-fueled confrontation. The media went wild. British tabloids dubbed Amanda Foxy Noxy, portraying her as a promiscuous femme fatale. American outlets countered, painting her as an innocent girl trapped in a hostile foreign system. Canadian coverage was more measured but equally fascinated, dissecting every twist. In December 2009, Amanda and Raffaele were convicted of murder. Amanda was sentenced to 26 years in prison, Raffaele to 25. For Meredith's family, the verdict brought some relief, but questions lingered. Appeals and acquittals. In 2011, Amanda and Raffaele appealed. Forensic experts re-examined the evidence and found serious issues. The knife alleged to be the murder weapon had Amanda's DNA on the handle, but the trace of Meredith's DNA on the blade was so small it was deemed unreliable. The bra clasp linking Raffaele to the crime scene had been collected weeks after the murder, contaminated by multiple handlers. With the credibility of the forensic evidence collapsing, the appeals court overturned the convictions in October 2011. Amanda and Raffaele were acquitted and released after 4 years in prison. The decision sparked outrage in the UK, where Meredith's family continued to demand justice. In the US, Amanda returned home to Seattle, welcomed as a symbol of wrongful conviction. In Canada, debates raged over the fairness of the Italian justice system. But the story didn't end there. Then comes retrials and final verdict. In 2013, Italy's highest court annulled the acquittals and ordered a retrial. Amanda, now back in the US, refused to return. The retrial once again convicted both Amanda and Raffaele in 2014. But in March 2015, after nearly 8 years of legal battles, Italy's Supreme Court finally ended the saga. Amanda Knox and Raffaele Sollecito were definitively acquitted. The court ruled that the case was plagued by stunning flaws in the investigation, and that the forensic evidence used to convict them was unreliable. Rudy Guede remained the only person legally held responsible for Meredith Kercher's death. Then, the aftermath and legacy. Amanda Knox returned to the United States and began a new life, eventually becoming an author and public speaker, advocating for those wrongfully convicted. Raffaele Sollecito also rebuilt his life, though his reputation in Italy was forever scarred. For Meredith's family, the pain never ended. They lost their daughter and sister, a young woman full of promise, in the most brutal way imaginable. They endured years of trials, headlines, and speculation, forced to grieve in the public eye. The case left deep scars between nations. In the UK, many felt justice had not been done. In the US, Amanda's exoneration was seen as proof of systemic failure abroad. In Canada, the case became a study in media influence, cultural bias, and international law. Even today, questions remain. Was Rudy Guede truly the sole killer? Were Amanda and Raffaele simply unlucky scapegoats? Or was the truth lost in the chaos of a flawed investigation and sensational media coverage? The murder of Meredith Kercher was not just the story of a young woman's life cut short. It became a mirror reflecting the biases, fears, and obsessions of entire nations. It showed how cultural differences can distort perception, how media can shape guilt or innocence, and how fragile justice can be when evidence is mishandled. But at its heart, this story is not about tabloids, trials, or international politics. It is about Meredith, a daughter, a sister, a friend, a young woman who traveled to Italy for adventure and education, only to be caught in a nightmare. Her life was full of potential, and it was stolen. And while the world argued about Amanda Knox, Raffaele Sollecito, and Rudy Guede, one truth remained: Meredith Kercher deserved to live. She is the victim whose voice was silenced, and whose memory should never be overshadowed. For more true crime stories like this, give me a thumbs up, turn on the notification bell to get notified when I put videos like this. See you in my next episode.